What if I told you there were just a few simple pro tips that could make hiking easier, more comfortable, and way more enjoyable for plus-size adventurers? Well, stick around. Hey y'all, Jeffrey here. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things backpacking gear for beginners, outdoor tips, and, well, quite frankly, everything you need to know to hit the trail. This is part 3 of my Ultralight Hiking Gear series for plus-size adventurers. So if you missed part 1 or 2, be sure to check them out for tips on shoes, backpacks. We covered layers, trekking poles, lots of things. Today, I'm sharing pro tips for plus-size hikers, including how to pick the most comfortable sleeping pad and sleep setup in general. We're also going to talk about why starting small is one of the best ways to build confidence outdoors, and how group trips and group tours can make hiking a little bit less stressy and a little more fun. So as always, you're going to find links for all the gear I mentioned in the description below, and be sure to stick around the end. Be sure to stick around until the end, because I'm also going to tell you about a group hiking trick. Mike, why can't I talk? Be sure to stick around until the end, because I will also tell you about a group hiking trip where you can experience unforgettable trails, make amazing connections, and enjoy the outdoors, all without having to worry about any of the logistics. So with that, let's dive in. Okay, first and foremost, arguably the most important piece of your sleep setup on the trail is your sleeping pad. This is one of the sleeping pads that I used on my PCT through hike. This is the Big Agnes Zoom UL insulated. This is the long version, the long narrow version, I believe. There's a long, I think there's a long wide. There's lots of different size options, but this is the one of the bigger ones. For plus-size hikers, a 3-inch sleeping pad is a game changer. The thickness is really, really important, especially for bigger hikers, and this is why. When you sleep, there are pressure points, and not every place that your body is touching not everywhere that your body is touching the pad is experiencing the same amount of pressure. And in places where there's more pressure, like your hips, that's a great example, the rest of your body may be held up off the ground, but your hips may be pushing into the ground. And when you wake up in the morning, your hips are gonna be really, really sore, and you're not gonna know why. It's gonna feel weird, and that's why. So a 3-inch pad is, there are bigger ones, but any that are thicker than 3 inches, don't quote me on this, but in my experience, I haven't seen pads thicker than 3 inches that are really viable in terms of weight for backpacking. So I think 3 inches is kind of the golden spot, and it's on the bigger side of what is available. Most are not that thick. Now, this is one of the pads that I used on the PCT, but I used 2 different ones. I also used the Thermarest Neo Air X-Therm NXT. It is also 3 inches thick, and it is 15 ounces. This one is 3 inches thick, but I think this one is 16 ounces. Again, it depends on which size you have, of course, because there's all different sizes. If you do not feel like you need the sleeping pad under the bottom of your legs, the shorter ones are a great way to save some weight. Here's the thing about sleeping pads. They're not cheap, but this is not a place that I would suggest that you skimp. Your sleep is not the place to save money. Trust me, you're gonna thank me after your first night on the trail and actually feeling comfortable. It's just so important for everyone to get rest, especially if it's just a weekend trip. You know, a few nights of bad sleep, I guess, aren't that big of a deal. But on a longer trip, it's going to add up, and you've got to get sleep. You really can't recover properly if you're not getting at least semi decent sleep. So it's really important, and the rewards of investing in making sure you're getting good sleep, I think, are worth it. Also, pro tip, practice inflating and deflating this pad at home before your trip. It sounds silly, but struggling with this stuff like in the moment, in the dark, when you're tired, it's not the vibe. Trust me. Another thing that I will mention is that these are expensive, but they are also notoriously known for getting holes and slowly leaking. One thing I will mention though, I did a number of times think that my pad was leaking, but I realized that it was just that I was blowing it up when it was warm, and then in the morning when it was cold, it shrinks a little bit because it changed temperature. So that's one thing to note, is that you can be tricked into thinking you have a hole in your pad when you don't. If you do have a hole in your pad though, you can fix it fairly easily. You can either dunk it under water, which is the easiest way. Apparently, I've never repaired one, so I shouldn't be speaking so authoritatively. But you can either submerge it underwater and look for bubbles, or if you don't have a way to submerge it, you can apparently also cover it with something sudsy, like a soap or something, and then that will create bubbles wherever the leak is. Most of these this is how this arrives. This is the packaging, and they usually come with repair patches. But if you don't, if for some reason it didn't, or you lost them, or you already used them, you can also get them online anywhere. Tenacious tape, and then there's they make little patches that are specifically for these, and it's really easy to do, and it works well and extends the life a long time. So, sleeping pads for bigger hikers, 3 inches, trust me. And if it gets a hole, repair it. And I do not recommend skimping. Okay. That's all things sleeping pads.
Hello! Hey, if you are sitting there thinking, oh, I want to travel more, I want to go on more adventures, come with me. I host trips around the world. We've been hiking in Patagonia, we went looking for the Northern Lights in Iceland, trekking in Nepal, camping in Banff, Canada, in the Canadian Rockies. We do it all, and we have a real good time. Everyone's welcome, and all the details for any current trips, just click that little bubble up in the top corner, or go to my website, jjb.life/travel. And we almost always make at least one group cringy TikTok. So come hang out with us. We're a real good time.
Now, when it comes to other sleeping accoutrements, I don't find as many differences for plus size hikers. I think choosing a sleeping bag or a sleeping quilt is the same, regardless of your size, except get one that fits you, get one that is long enough for you, get one that is round enough for you, get one that fits because you want to be comfortable and you want to sleep well. The next thing I'll mention is a pillow or two. I carried 2 ultralight pillows. That's what I needed to be comfortable. Again, you can go with an ultralight option. I really like the Zen Bivy pillows. They're amazing, so soft and so lightweight. That's what I use on the PCT. And again, I don't know that's particular to plus size hikers, but again, it's important for everyone to rest and recover in the evening, but it's especially important for bigger hikers. We need rest. We need our bodies to heal at night. So invest in a good sleeping setup. And before I depart from the sleeping setup advice, I'll just mention to try your sleep setup in advance. Do not wait until you get on the trail. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. It's a weird thing to sleep on the floor, and you want to get those kinks worked out before you hit the trail. It's miserable to sleep poorly on the trail. You're working so hard during the day, and to not get properly recharged and rested at night. No. Okay, next up, this is not the most novel advice, but start small. This is one of the best tips for anyone new to hiking or backpacking, but I think it's especially important if you're plus size, if you're worried about diving straight into a huge adventure. And while you want to push yourself responsibly, you also don't want to end up in a precarious or unsafe situation in the middle of nowhere, You don't have to commit to a 2,650 mile through hike to call yourself a hiker. You can just start with local day hikes or short overnight trips or a weekend trip. Start with local trails. These smaller adventures can help you get comfortable with your gear. You can build up your stamina through training, and just figure out in general like what works for you before you tackle something bigger where the stakes are higher. Plus, starting small, it gives you room to learn from your mistakes without any of the pressure of being out in the wilderness for weeks or months. You forgot your sunscreen. It's no big deal. It's just a couple days. Misjudged how much water you needed. No big deal. You'll know next time. I have a habit of just, having the confidence of a white man and thinking that I can, I just know what I'm doing, and that, I've never done it before, but I'm sure I just know how to do it. I don't think the wilderness is the right place for that kind of bravado. Here's the thing, at the end of the day, whether it's 1 mile or 100 miles, hiking is supposed to be fun. It's about the journey and the experience, and there's no reason to be less comfortable than you can be. Finally, let's talk about one of the best ways to ease into hiking, backpacking, camping, and that is group tours, group activities, and group trips. If the idea of, planning hikes stresses you out, backpacking trips, group trips are a really great option. Group tours are a really great option because all of the logistics are taken care of for you. Most group trips, you just have to get yourself there, and then most things from then are taken care of. So, on a group trip, you don't have to worry about planning routes or coordinating transportation or figuring out meals. On group camping and backpacking trips, most of your gear is provided. They take care of the food logistics and things. So you just get to show up, enjoy the adventure, focus on connecting with all the other hikers and having fun, soaking up the scenery. And group trips are also really good for beginners because they're an opportunity to learn. You're going to have expert guides showing you how everything works, and you're going to pick up tips from the guides, other hikers who are on the trip who may know more than you, and you're going to leave with more confidence to plan your own trips in the future, solo adventures. Speaking of group trips, I have a group trip coming up to Banff. It's a camping trip in September. Perfect for beginner backpackers and campers and hikers or more experienced outdoorsmen and outdoorswomen and outdoors people who just want a more chill trip. This is half nature, half spa, shopping, relaxation. It's a good mix of both. It's designed to make it, stress-free and hopefully unforgettable. On the trip, we're exploring iconic places like Moraine Lake, Plain of Six Glaciers, Lake Louise. There's just so many breathtaking views. If you haven't been to Banff, it's just straight out of a postcard. We handle all the planning, gear, meals, transportation, except for your transportation to Banff, so that you can just focus on having fun. It's also a great way to meet like-minded people, make some new friends. We always end up with a really cool, fun group. Spots are limited. There's a few spots left, but if the trip is sold out, the last one did sell out. So if this Banff trip sells out, just stay tuned. I'm always announcing more trips, so there'll be something else. If you really want to go to Banff, hop on it now. So there you have it. That's my top pro tips for plus size hikers, investing in a comfortable sleep setup, especially a sleeping pad, and start small to build your confidence. There's no reason to jump in too soon with too much. And consider joining a group trip like mine if you are just diving into hiking and camping for the first time. And as always, don't forget to check the description for links to all my gear that I mentioned today, and make sure to watch video parts 1 and 2 of this series if you haven't already, because there's a whole lot more tips for plus size hikers in those videos. Thanks for joining. As always, happy hiking. Want to watch another video? Click here. Want to learn more about my upcoming trips? Click here. Want to subscribe and like all my videos and turn those bell notifications